Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing the Week 2 Pickems for the Shaymin Division, and I am joined by Cprime today. Do you want to say hi?
Yo, the boys are back, baby.
We're going to try to make this quick just because we are making these very late, and we don't want to delay it anymore. So sorry if we're not going into as much detail as we did last time, just kind of, like I said, on a time crunch. First up, we have Toob versus Lord Arkanum. Toob Terras are Electrode with Terra Electric, Ice, and Flying, and Houndstone with Ghost, Rock, and Fairy. And Lord Arkanum has Armarouge with Psychic, Grass, and Fairy, and Rampardos with Rock, Flying, and Grass.
I'm calling it now. We're seeing Tailwind, Rampardos, fucking shit up.
You think we're gonna get this week? It's gonna come. Is when you think it's gonna come against the Swampert.
Yep. It's gonna head smash that thing next week.
No, Swampert actually just looks very good generally. Water and ground moves are unresisted pretty much by the entire team. Shift Tree does resist both, and then if they Terra Grass, the Armarouge. But I think either way, like, it looks really good because Cinderace and Tornadus stop the grass types. So
It's a very, I think we talked about this earlier, it's a very, I think, a one-sided matchup.
it is, because the Sneasler plus Indeedee plus Iron Crown looks so threatening into Toob team. You give that Iron Crown a booster energy speed and just Calm Mind up once, and it is over. I just don't see a good resist. I mean, Fortress, but that's going to get weakened by, you know, things like Indeedee, Sneasler, or even Dragapult.
Yeah, Armarouge is right there too. Just one armor can.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye Fortress.
And then same with Zapdos. Zapdos is right there too. That puts a ton of pressure on it as well. So it just doesn't look good for Toob side. His team just it's not slow by any means. You know, he's got Electrode, he's got Zamazenta, but Sneasler is just so ridiculously fast with Unburden. I mean, it's unmatched.
I mean, it's not even a Toob thing. He's facing the best mod in draft in Dragapult, which doesn't even look amazing this week. But when the best mod in draft doesn't look amazing compared to the rest of your team, it's like, what the hell do you do against that? I mean, Zama looks chill. Like, the main problem with it though is it can't hold an item. You know, so it's not like you can choice ban Zama, like crunch. Like,
yeah,
not to work, but
then there's Sneasler, Sneasler and Zapdos are both there because Zapdos probably is going to run. Not probably, but they often run Choice Scarfs, so that's, you know, that bops it. And then like Indeedee is generally can probably take a hit from at least one hit from Zamazenta, and it'll hit back pretty hard with Expanding Force. So, and you know, Iron Crown can definitely take one hit.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It definitely is, yeah. I definitely think Lord Arkanum's going to win this one. Maybe Houndstone can try to do something in the sand, but Indeedee is immune to the ghost moves, so it's kind of harder. And we know Indeedee is going to come this week, guaranteed.
Oh, there's no way it doesn't. It's a free Unburden proc. It boosts your crown, like it boosts your Armarouge too. Like, it's regardless of the angle they choose to take, it's just good.
Next up, we have Wolf versus Truckjud. Wolf's Terras being Oricorio with Flying, Ice, and Fairy, and Blastoise with Water, Ice, and Dark. And for Truckjud, he has Comfey with Fairy, Steel, Ground, and Crocalor with Fire, Water, Fairy.
Right off the bat, like, I feel like we're gonna say this every week, or at least every week you cover it. Comfey is just it. It's him. It's
so good. I think this game is going to come down to who sets up their sweeper first. Is Truck going to set up the Comfey with Calm Mind first, or is Wolf going to get that Oricorio set up with Quiver Dances? Because both of those just look unstoppable. Dragalge can maybe take a hit from the Oricorio if it's not the Psychic form, but I think he wants the Fire form for Golden Go. That's one thing Wolf's going to have to decide, which Oricorio form he wants, but yeah. Comfey can shut down that Revavroom with Terra Ground, Terra Blast, so really good spot. I think the biggest issue for Comfey will be Ogerpon this week.
Yeah, but even after a few boosts, it's, you know, like, you're recovering, like you're doing damage.
Well, Draining Crest is resisted though from the fire type of Ogerpon.
Oh yeah, but like, I'm just saying, like, you're still doing, it's still gonna be a hurdle cut. Like, Ogerpon isn't a clear cut.
No, I mean, I agree, yeah, because Talonflame shuts down Ogerpon really well too, especially with like Gale Wings, which even Iron Valiant can get +6 speed with a booster energy attached as well, and if that Talonflame's at full health, it just comes in and clicks Brave Bird, you know, like gets that Gale Wings.
It's such a fun ability. Like if you play it right.
I wish that they didn't nerf it to be full health. It was so stupid. It should be like half health or something.
Yeah, but it was broken, you know.
I didn't play around with it too much in Gen 6. I was still learning competitive at that time, so no, I don't know.
Talonflame was the king of OU.
No, I know. It was also really good in VGC because of Tailwind and stuff, which I think was the main reason they nerfed it was VGC, because they don't give a shit about singles.
They really don't. But going back a little bit, I think you always run Fire, just so you don't have to depend on Flying Move or Hurricane to hit the Meowscarada.
Yeah, the Dragalge just is a little bit of a threat for it, just on the special side. But I think between things like Palace and Cleavor can break it down.
Knowing Truck, right? I think you do have to look out for Eek Blast, right? I feel like that could be like he might use it as a sack and just burn something.
I forget about Beak Blast because Toucannon's just been gone. You know, like it came out in Gen 7 and it was just gone. You know, it just disappeared off the face of the earth for a generation. So I forget about it sometimes.
It's an interest, you know, like if you get hit by by
it's contact move, yeah.
Burn.
Yep, I remember that now. Crocolore also looks obnoxious here with Unaware.
I don't even think it needs an Eviolite, you know. I mean, obviously it wants it. It's gonna run it.
It doesn't need its Terra this week. That's what it, is good for it. Because Comfey wants the Terra more than Crocolore does, but Crocolore doesn't even need it. You know, maybe it doesn't want to take an Earth Power per se from Palisand, but Truck's got switch-ins to that.
Yeah, it's a Palisand. You can work around that.
I ultimately think it's going to come down to who sets up first, but I think the matchup favors Truck.
Yeah, because if Oricorio gets out of hand, right, it's going to have to set up. It always has to set up. And you save your Meowscarada and sucker punch it.
Easier said than done, though. You know, if that Oricorio is setting up Quiver Dances, it might be fully Fizz Dev, you know. Might only take 20-30% from a sucker punch.
That's absolutely valid. I will agree with that.
And even then, you know, like Cleavor gets Stealth Rocks up very easily, so Meowscarada could, die from switching. You know, there's a lot of different scenarios where I think like that Oricorio can really win. I think the one thing that needs to get taken care of before Oricorio can do anything is Crocolore, just because it is unaware.
Yeah, it comes in and clicks Roar, and all your work is down the drain.
Yeah, so I think Wolf has a very good chance, but overall the matchup favors Truck. Next up, we have Carp Cranium versus Playz for Days. Carp Cranium's Terras being Minior with Flying Ground and Grass, and Jolteon with Electric, Ice, and Water. And Playz's Terra types are Kilowattrel with Flying, Water, and Ground, and Sandaconda with Ground, Water, and Fairy.
I think we talked about this. This is a sweaty match.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Playz to maneuver just generally because of the hazards that Carp is going to set up on him. It's crazy. I mentioned this in the power rankings, but Playz for Days doesn't have any hazard removal outside of Scizor with Defog, which honestly doesn't look that good this week. I mean, Defog, yes, looks great, but Scizor doesn't because Skarmory and Alola Mola both shut it down very well.
Yeah, you get scalded from Alola Mola and your Scizor is literally just, all it can do at that point is Defog.
Yeah, and the hazards are set up so easily between, there's so many different Stealth Rockers, Flygon, Minior, Clefable, Skarmory, Glamora, and then Spikers in Glamora and Skarmory as well. It's just, even if he does get an opportunity to defog, they're not going to be gone long.
Yeah, speaking of Glamora, that thing's so annoying with the Mortal Spin, just guaranteed poison, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be very annoying to play around because it can take a hand from a lot.
And if Playz doesn't bring Overquill, then Toxic Spikes are going to be an issue as well. So Overquill, is like a guaranteed bring, in my opinion. You don't have a choice.
The other thing we had mentioned, right, was don't intimidate.
Yeah, Incineroar does not look good here. At first, I was talking about it to be able to wall Scizor decently and stuff, but Annihilate would get a boost from that, so that's definitely not something to run. But
and when you look at the rest of the team, like it loses to Volcanion, to
Kilowattrel with Terra Water is amazing into this team.
What is that thing called? Diancie? Excel Rock, it loses to a lot. Close combat, Meloetta, right?
Yeah, Meloetta can switch its form, into that physical
form.
It
loses to half the team, over half the team. I don't think it's your bring.
Yeah, Incineroar's not good. But I think if Carp can stall out the Kilowattrel, because that's one of the biggest threats in my opinion to his team is Kilowattrel, and I think Clefable can do that decently well with like a Spadef set. I think the hazards will be start to stack on Playz for days, and Carp can bring this one out. Just because like offensively, I don't think Carp's team is that great into Playz's. It's just the hazards really do it for him. Maybe like a Dragon Dance Flygon can do some work. Doesn't look too bad.
And like Alecki's cool, but like Alecki doesn't get coverage. And when you have a really good immunity like Kilowattrel
and Sandaconda,
it's like it'd be good other weeks, just not like for this matchup especially. It's a little tough.
I'm excited to see how Playz for Days works around these hazards. Is he gonna try to defog, or is he just gonna run a team full of heavy duty boots users? Which at that point, you know, knockoff looks so great, especially on like Clefable. Running knockoff as a support move. I don't have a clear like vision of who wins this one. In all honesty, it's gonna depend on how like the hazard game is played.
Yeah, because Play's team looks it's gonna struggle with hazards, but if he can just somehow prevent them, I mean,
or if he can just power through before the hazards can get set up. But if like Playz for Days like leading Scizor on, you know, Glamora and just immediately pressuring just so that the team can't get hazards up, that might be a way to win this game. You know, just not allowing them up in the first place. Maybe running some fast taunt users. I know like Annihilate gets taunt and it's relatively quick compared to, you know, things like Skarmory and Glamora. Next up, we have Legend Lamarcus versus Flupke. Legend's Terras are Galarian Articuno with Flying, Steel, and Fighting, and Quagsire with Ground, Poison, and Fairy. And Flupke's Terras are Regidraco with Dragon, Steel, Fairy, and Chestnut with Grass, Steel, and Ghost.
Right off the bat, we talked about this. We figured out one thing while we were looking at these teams. Fast ice dark types are just good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game to prove which one's better, Chien-Pao or Weavile, and ultimately I think Chien-Pao's going to do it.
Yeah, it's just faster, you know. It gets the same priority moves. It's faster, and then it hits a little harder because of its ability.
Weavile doesn't get Sucker Punch, which is one thing that
does it?
No,
that's absolute robbery.
But then on the flip side, Chien-Pao doesn't get Triple Axle, which is way better than Icicle Crash.
It's a valid trade. It's fair.
The only thing really stopping the Chien-Pao is Rotom is like kind of a soft check to it, I would say. But Okidogi is the real problem, which now that I'm thinking about it too, I'm pretty sure Chien-Pao gets Psychic Fangs.
No shot.
I'm pretty sure it does. I mean, I can confirm, but I'm 99% sure it does. It does, yes. So that Okidogi really isn't even a check anymore. Wow, that's not good.
That's a little rough, yeah.
Because I was gonna say the Terra Fighting on Articuno, but same problem.
That thing's an absolute monster. I think I also like Flupke's defense decor a little better.
Slowking plus Galarian Weezing does look really good in this matchup. You know, Weezing comes in, takes the hits from the Weavile. Slowking comes out to take hits from the Heatran. Which, speaking of, Heatran doesn't look too bad if you remove Slowking from the equation.
Yeah, you just gotta watch out for, like, a few of the mons, right? Like, Treads, Bops it, Focus Blast, Thunderous, if you hit the Focus Blast. Then Protopass, like, might be able to do something with Magnet Pull.
Yeah, I think it gets Earthquake or Earth Power. Not that it would live too well from Heatran. You know, who's trapped with who at that point? Because they both get Earth Power.
I'm just trying to get my mans to do something. Free Nose Pass.
It's Protopass.
Yeah, I feel like the Hisuian Zoroark looks pretty fun. It always does.
If Weavile wasn't here, I would say so, but Knockoff is just such a free click that, like, I don't think it's necessary that it has to come.
I just think you hide it as the Chien-Pao beta fighting move and rock from there, you know?
Yeah, that's not horrible. I think ultimately Flupke's going to win this just because of Chien-Pao. If he can break through, like, Quagsire a little bit, I think he'll be all right. Because Quagsire isn't too bad defensively. I just think it's going to get worn down pretty heavily, pretty quickly. And if you Terra the Quagsire, it's definitely going to lose fast. It wants to keep its regular typing this week.
Base Quagsire loses to Chestnut, but then you Terra into, like, let's say Poison. And then it's a free Slowking switching.
Or Treads, yeah. Just watch out for maybe, like, Grass Knot from, like, Thunderous. And last but not least, we have Aryan versus Shadow Knight. Aryan's Terras being Noivern with Flying Dragon in normal, and Electivire with Electric Flying and Ice. And then Shadow has Miss Magius with Ghost Electric and Stellar, and Bastiodon with Rock Flying and Fighting. The Sun team finally has a Sunsetter, and oh my goodness, does it look so fucking scary this week.
Absolute debauchery on that right side. It's crazy.
We ran some calcs because we were curious. A Gouging Fire with the set of Flare Blitz, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, Morning Sun with max attack, +1 adamant, charcoal boosted Flare Blitz in the Sun was able to 2-hit KO everything. Nothing took a hit. Not max defense Toxapex, not max defense Eviolite Knackle Stack. Nothing.
This game is like, if you thought the last one was clear cut, this one is clear cut, I think.
And then, not even looking at Gouging Fire anymore, Venusaur and Lilligant are two demons outright of their own. Especially when you take into account that Grimmsnarl is right there to give screen support. I mean, like, Shadow Knight made I think it was just 2 transactions. Maybe he picked up that Staraptor as well. But the Lilligant and Torkoal were some of the greatest transactions I think you could have made for this team. It's still a bit slow, but with Chlorophyll from Lilligant and Venusaur, I think it's all right. I mean, this is I would hate to play this team. I'm terrified for Aryan.
Yeah, I think the other thing we talked about is Shadow has a clear edge, but don't fuck around with that Spectrier.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though Staraptor is immune and Grimmsnarl resists, if if those two get taken out or worn down or even not brought, Spectrier can become a problem, especially if like Sun disappears. If Torkoal dies or something and you can't get the Sun up to outspeed it, it will sweep you. It's
an absolute threat you can't overlook. Overlooking would be a huge mistake.
But ultimately, I think this one goes to Shadow. I mean, it's not more cut and dry than 2-hit KOing even your resists.
That calc was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, he's like, no, Toxapex takes it. And I was like, yeah, it takes 70%.
The fact that it can boost its speed with Proto plus Dragon Dance, what were they cooking?
Dude, it's
really burnt down the kitchen on that one.
So scary, dude. I love it. So yeah, that is our Pickems for week 2 of the VDL for the Shaymin Division. We did skip doing Kyle versus Britt Bellina because at the time of recording this, that battle had already happened, so didn't really see a point in talking about it. So if you enjoy, drop a like, subscribe. Best of luck to everyone on their week 2 battles. You got anything else to say?
Have fun. Don't lose.
Peace.